What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Kuempel with Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. I'm super pumped. We've got a very special guest joining us from Scottsdale, Arizona. Love Scottsdale. Please welcome Dr. Amy Novotny. She is the founder of the PABR Institute. She focuses on her mission is to provide pain, stress, and anxiety relief to those who seek a naturalistic form of treatment, which is amazing. Dr. Amy Novotny, thank you very much for joining us today. You are awesome. Please introduce yourself and tell the audience a little bit about your background.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me on, first and foremost. I'm excited to share with your audience and listeners and just honored to be here. So my background, I started off doing traditional physical therapy. I got my doctorate in that. And back in 2014, after about 5 years of kind of looking at sports and orthopedics and just general how to get people better, I started diving into it a little bit more. I started looking at the body in different ways, and I knew there were some things that were left missing. And specifically, I first turned towards a program called the Postural Restoration Institute that teaches about asymmetries in the body, in the trunk, and even in the diaphragm. And I took that knowledge, and at the time I was running marathons and I was trying to qualify for the Boston Marathon. And while I was on this treadmill 3 times a week running 8 miles, I started playing with my own body in terms of my breathing and my body position. And when I was there and I was playing with my breathing, I could feel myself calm down, but it wasn't until I started playing with my rib cage position, it was like a whole new world opened up to me.
Wow.
It was really amazing. All of a sudden, I could just feel this calm come over my body. And the little cartoon with the coyote and the roadrunner, and the roadrunner's running and its legs are moving, but the body's still. Yeah. I really felt like that. I didn't have the tightness. I didn't have aches or pains. All those things that come with endurance running, this all seemed to go away. I stopped stretching. I stopped rolling. I stopped scraping. All these things that I used to tell people and teach people in doing traditional physical therapy. I'm like, okay, I don't need to do this. I don't feel that pain anymore. And it took me a while to realize what it was I was doing.
Yeah.
I was using my body position to calm down my nervous system, that fight or flight mode that ramps up when we do something strenuous or when we have a stress in our life. But when I did that and I changed my rib cage position to reflect a calm, I also changed the way I breathe, which then also changed into a relaxation mode of breathing. And I could use this while I was running at high speed levels. And I didn't get the aches and the tightness and all those things that really come with being ramped up. Wow. And so the next marathon I ran a couple months later, I dropped 7 minutes off my time, which is a huge deal. If you're in the marathon world, that's a lot of time. And I didn't change any other training.
Yeah.
And that's like almost another mile off your time. Like if you look at, if you're running 7-minute miles, that's like a mile faster. It's huge. And so, I just keep playing with it. I started implementing it with different patients, ran another marathon a couple months later, another 7 minutes came off my time. I mean, I blew past the qualifying marks.
It's amazing.
Oh, it was incredible. And, part of me looked at myself and said, okay, did I stumble on something great, or is my eyes just opening up and this is something everyone else knew and I'm just waking up to this?
Well, you're a doctor, so they don't teach that though in school, do they?
No, they don't teach what I'm talking about. Yeah. We never got that in our schooling, graduate studies, anything like that. And I realized, okay, I need to start playing on this with more people. So I'd ask, I was working in a clinic for someone else. I asked, my patients, hey, do you mind if I try this on you? So people started getting out of pain much faster. People with various nerve pains, their healing time frame exponentially increased, and they improved so much better. And even the neurologists in the Phoenix area were astounded. Wow. Like, how in the world are you getting people with these nerve injuries faster, faster, about a couple months earlier than normal time frames that we've experienced in the past? And it was really quite amazing. And so then I started becoming known for getting people with joint replacements they were scheduled for joint replacement surgeries, was getting them out of it. Oh, wow. The people who were bone on bone, had been doing injections for years, who had been on anti-inflammatories for years. I started working with them and saying, okay, I know you're bone on bone. We can't change that. But is it really the bone on bone part that's creating your pain and problem? And it wasn't. It was that fight or flight mode that gets in our body where our muscles tense up, our body's just ramped up. And over time, our body habituates to that. And then we can't release it.
Yeah.
Or we don't know how to release it. We're not aware to release it. And I started teaching people how to do that.
Oh my God.
And all of a sudden, they stopped taking medications. They stopped getting injections. And I have a lady from 2016. She's a psychologist. She's retired now. She's in her late 70s. She travels all over the world. She was scheduled for a knee replacement. Within 2 weeks, she canceled it when we started working together. And she hasn't done one more shot, one more pill since then.
That's amazing. Oh my God.
It sticks. It really sticks. And so, I started playing with this more and more. Then I had the great opportunity where people started flying in from around the country to come see me. And I had a world famous photographer come see me who also wanted to avoid a knee replacement.
Yeah.
And he, stayed in town for a few days, week or so, worked on him every day, said, hey, okay. He went away without pain. Came back a couple months later, said, well, you fixed the knee. I wanted the rest of my body to feel this good. So we did that. He went home, flew home, 4-hour flight home. For the first time in 30 or 40 years, he could actually sit for 4 hours pain-free. And this is a gentleman who has a driver and forces a driver to stop every 15 minutes so he can get out of the car to walk around every 15 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
And now he can sit for 4 hours. And it was just an incredible shift. Yeah. Unfortunately, he got home, he slipped on some water and by his pool, busted up his shoulder and said, okay, now I can't lift my arm up. And had an MRI, said that there was torn rotator cuff, biceps involvement. And he came back, couldn't lift his arm up. And he said, I don't know what to do. And I said, well, let's spend the next couple of days, see what motion we can get. I don't believe you have to have surgery.
Yeah.
So by the time we were done, his arm got all the way overhead. He wasn't completely pain-free because there was torn tissues, but we stopped that neuroprotective guarded response that happens after an injury. So he was able to move his arm. And he said, okay, I want to hire you. I'm traveling around the world for a lot of projects this year. I want to hire you to travel and coach me. I want you to coach me and do this a couple days. So gave up my life, gave up my job, gave up a relationship, gave up my house, gave up everything and said, I'm going to take the chance. And I did exactly that. I left for 6 months. I went around the world. I went to Arctic Norway, Arctic Finland, Scotland, Iceland, Greenland, England, and then all the way down to Argentina. And ended up in Antarctica, where you see the pictures of the emperor penguins behind me. And I am into photography as well. And so kept this guy, kept coaching him, made sure he could make it to Antarctica, because what we had to do was we took a ship across the southern oceans and had a helicopter onto sea ice, then trek across sea ice to get the emperor.
I do.
I know, and we had to trek across the sea ice to get to the emperor penguin colony. And that was the whole point, is that's why he hired me, because he was afraid that this trip of a lifetime he wouldn't be able to do because of his body pain.
Yeah.
And so I coached him so he made it.
Support for Label Free Podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below the waist grooming. Although, ladies, we're all inclusive here. You can use it too. Manscaped offers precision engineered tools for your family jewels. They obsess over their technology developments to provide you the best tools for your grooming experience. Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men worldwide. We have an exclusive offer for my listeners, 20% off plus free shipping with the code labelfree20 at manscaped.com. And just to give you a little preview of what one of their tools looks like, I mean, we all can use it. Like, okay, ladies, we can use this stuff too. So please go visit manscaped.com, use labelfree20 for 20% off and free shipping.
So I did that. And then once I got finished with that project with him, he was fine. And so I decided, you know what, I'm going to go back to Arizona, but I'm going to keep my life changed. I'm not going to go back to the old way. And I decided I'm going to sell my house completely instead of just renting it out. And I sold it and I started up a business, and it has been kind of this blast off since then. It's, growing a business is a roller coaster, but it's been an uphill roller coaster. And I'm very, very grateful for the past couple of years of just being able to have a business where I can share this information with other people, touch lives in ways that I couldn't before.
Amazing. I think that, so I have a quick story. So I'm an athlete. I'm a bodybuilder. I've never done a marathon. I don't think I ever will, but I've done triathlons. Like I did 3 in my 20s. I've competed on bodybuilding over the last 20 years. And, I've placed to compete nationally. I never have. I was 2 weeks out last year before COVID hit and the whole nonsense. But recently, probably a couple weeks ago, I had, my aunt, she's a masseuse. She said that I threw a rib out. I had such pain. I could barely lift this arm, and it was like, and I had so much pain that I made myself sick. Like I was like really sick. And so she came over and she worked on me, and whatever was going on, she released it here in my chest. But when you talk about that flight or fight, I'm under a little stress. I'm not going to lie. Like I'm a total starving artist right now, like trying to grow this podcast. I had a corporate job and I lost in December. And honestly, I mean, if I go back, I go back. If I don't, I don't. And I'm just like surrendering to the unknown. I'm just like, let's just go. Let's do it. And so far, like this has been an amazing, like you're talking about, like, it's growing. Like this has been an amazing process for me with this podcasting. And clearly it is resonating with a lot of people, but physically, I'm experiencing some stress. So I had never felt that kind of pain before. And it was just like, it was crazy. So when you work with somebody, like I come to you, let's say, and I'm like, oh my God, Amy, I'm like, Dr. Amy, I'm experiencing all this. What do you go through? Do you talk to them about what they're going through in their life, or do you just deal with the physiological pain?
No. So the first session I work with people, it's an hour and a half. And we go through your medical history, mental history, whatever you feel comfortable sharing with me. And ideally, I'd like you to share everything so I know how to help you the best. And so I don't do something that triggers you, but it's whatever people feel comfortable sharing with me. Then we go through looking at how your body moves. So what I do is not physical therapy.
Right.
It's looking at your nervous system and how we can coach you to change your internal wiring to free up your body mentally, emotionally, intellectually, all the different ways you can. So I'll look at you move, doing a lot of basic stuff. How do you squat? How do you reach? How do you bend over? All these things that we do in our daily life, where we can either do them in a fight or flight status or in a relaxed status. And there's a difference in how you move based on that status. And we don't realize that. We're not aware of it.
Yeah.
So we go through that, and then all this is recorded on Zoom. And then we go through, okay, what do I see in your body? And I give you the recording so you can correlate it with your body and how it moves. And you can look and you can watch as I'm going through and I'm explaining. And then we start shifting you after that. So there's an actual coaching and giving you activities to work on. Okay. So we start changing the way you breathe, start changing the way you position your body. And we work on having you sense certain aspects of your body letting go and other aspects of your body, your muscles activating. So as we go through the process, first we have to get your full body just to let go and to get you to sense that and to be able to reproduce that. Then as you're working on getting your rib cage to relax into its neutral position where it should be, then we start adding in maybe an arm movement or a leg movement, but keeping what you retained from the previous sessions. Okay. And as we do this, it helps people with stress, with anxiety, people who can't sleep, with chronic pains, all different types of pains. Exactly. When you feel that buzz sensation where you're on, and you told me a very, very important part of you, you're a bodybuilder. Yeah. You have done things to your body that make it ingrained in you that your body's in a fight or flight status. Because I know with the bodybuilding, a lot of the principles for it put you in fight or flight mode so that you can't come out of it. It's just part of the nature of the sport.
Interesting. So I've never heard that before. So why is that? I mean, I just love to lift heavy weights.
Right. Right. But what are people told when you lift heavy weights? You're told kind of have your chest out, suck your gut in, kind of have a really strong core, make your back straight and flat. Those kind of similar, maybe some differences, right?
Yeah.
But there are some commonalities.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Okay. As soon as you do that, anytime your chest comes out a little bit and you try to flatten your back, what that does is it takes a rib cage that was in a cylinder and starts to tilt it up. So as soon as you lift up your chest or try to suck up your gut, try to make your tummy really tight, now you're going to start to hinge off of your low back and your back muscles are going to start to contract.
Yeah.
The problem with that is that fight or flight nervous system lies along the spine.
Yeah.
So the muscles, when they're contracting down and they're crushing on that fight or flight nervous system, muscles throughout your body tense up and you're now in a fight or flight status.
Okay.
Which is good if you need to lift something heavy for a short period of time. You know, you need to have power strength for a short period of time, or if you need to run and sprint out of a burning building.
Yeah.
But it's not something that our body's designed to be in all the time. And the problem is if the back muscles continue to contract and stay that way, your muscles throughout your body continue to tighten all over and you feel kind of buzzed or tight all over.
Yeah.
You habituate.
Yeah.
And then you forget what it feels like, how to relax. And then I hear the issue. I feel like I'm so inflexible. I can't breathe. I can't relax. My hamstrings feel tight. And I say it's not because your hamstrings are truly tight.
Yeah.
It's because your nervous system is ramped up to tell the muscles to contract and your body is out of position.
Wow. Yeah.
And as soon as you change the way you put your rib cage and you breathe to allow your belly to come out, your hamstrings all of a sudden magically get longer. And it's not they actually get longer. It's just
they relax.
Yes. And you don't have to forcibly stretch them by trying to bend over and touch your toes or put your leg on the table and lean forward, because that's not really the problem. Yeah. It's the internal wiring of your nervous system. And so a lot of people who do lift weights, now I haven't seen you, so, you know, I'm not picking you apart or anything, but a lot of people who lift weights, and I've been in gyms and worked with weightlifters, they've become reliant on their back and they don't know how to turn that off. And so they constantly stay turned on and they can't let go.
I've tried to balance out the weightlifting with, I do yoga. So I'm very flexible as well, but because I feel like if you're too much of one thing, it's a cause, you can create more injury. Yeah. So, but I feel like I had a lot of stress and I was training really hard, which created this. And so like what you're talking about, it definitely was my nervous system that was like being taxed and created this issue. Cause I mean, I've never really had a major injury. Like I'm very, knock on wood and knock on everything, you know, I've been very lucky, and I've lifted some seriously heavy weight for a female, and that was pretty bad. That was some excruciating pain. So I could have used your help.
Yeah. And I'm glad to hear that you're doing yoga, because yoga helps you calm down. Now, some of the breathing with yoga, what I teach is very different. So I'll say, okay, yoga is great. Keep doing that. Let's change your breathing. So it's a parasympathetic relaxation breathing that you can incorporate in yoga, so you feel the benefits of yoga that much more.
What's the difference? Can you, like, in layman's terms, what is the difference?
Yeah. So with the breathing, I teach people, and this will feel very counterintuitive. Sure. I tell you, as you blow out, let your belly button relax out. So most people, when they blow out, they're used to sucking their gut up or sucking it in and trying to deflate themselves that way. It's going to ramp you up, because as soon as you do that, your rib cage lifts up. Guess what? Your back muscles kick in, you tighten up. But instead, if you blow out and let your chest drop in, your belly spill out, your rib cage can drop down. And when you allow your chest to drop in, you don't throw your shoulders or head forward. You sit all the way back, let your tailbone curl under you. It feels like you're slouching. Let your low back relax into your chair back. Now, when you blow out through your mouth, your chest needs to drop in away from your hand. If you have your hand on your chest, your belly needs to spill out into your other hand if you have your hand on your belly. Most people can't feel their chest drop in.
Really?
That tells me that you're in fight or flight mode. Most people who can't sleep and they can't stay asleep, usually their breastbone is too far prominent and it's too rigid, and they can't feel it melt in as they exhale. And
Wow.
it leads to a ton of problems. But it's fixable.
Yeah.
That's the best part.
You're the first person I've talked to that has talked about this stuff. And I talk to a lot of people every day. Every day. I love it though. Yes.
Yes.
But I mean, wow. Do you know of any other people any of your peers that are using these kind of techniques?
No, this is something I've developed. I'm patented and all that stuff. So it's something that I've worked on and developed. There are other people that use breathing in with different types of movement. Breath work is very, very popular out there. Yeah. There's a lot of different types of breath work, but the combination of breath work and body repositioning and this type of breathing is unique to me. And there might be someone out in the world. I just haven't met that person yet. And if there is, I'm excited to meet that person. But right now, in my sphere of people who I know, I don't know people who do it like I do it.
Oh, I know a bunch of people I'm going to connect you with when we're done. Send an email to at least one person, but once I release this episode, I'm going to shoot it over to a bunch of athletes that I know and not only athletes, but other people that are suffering with some certain things that I think that would benefit working with you.
Yeah.
Before we wrap things up, can you drop your links? And obviously I'll put them in the description of the episode, but can you just let our audience know where they can find you if they want to work with you?
Absolutely. So they can search my name on social media. I'm on all the popular social media. So that's always a way to get a hold of me. I'm also at PABRinstitute.com. So PABR Institute.com. But I love to connect with people just like you. And so I say, please send me an email. Amy, AMY at PABRinstitute.com. Send me an email. Let me know what's going on. We can always jump on a free 15-minute consultation and I can give you resources. If you are a self-starter and you want to just get started on your own, learn some of the breathing techniques, I can send you that. If you want to do one-on-one coaching calls, we can do that as well. And I mean, this helps all populations. I work with NFL players who have tried a traditional rehab, couldn't get healed. This worked within a couple hours. I work with people, high level business owners, all the way to someone who does mail in a post office. I mean, every single person can benefit from it. We're not limited by our circumstances.
It makes total sense. And I love it. I support it 1,000%. Because I feel like modern medicine is like really pushes drugs, injections. And that never really solves the problem. It masks it. It's a Band-Aid because you still, at the end of the day, when that drug wears off or that injection wears off, you still have the problem. You got to figure out how to fix it. Like I know myself, like there's a problem, like I'm doing something wrong, like I can't just I can't get massages every day of my life. That's just not going to work. But amazing. Thank you for what you do. I think it's awesome. Before we wrap things up, Amy, could you have any words of wisdom or advice you'd like to leave with the audience?
Absolutely. During your day, check yourself and catch yourself how many times you're sucking your gut up and in and see if you can change it. Let your belly out. I can't tell you how much that has helped people. That one piece of advice, let your belly button out so your chest can drop in. And it can save you from so much pain, so much stress, so much tension. If you don't do anything else, do that.
Awesome. That is very valuable information, you guys. She charges for that.
Yes, I do.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amy Novotny, for being a guest on Label Free Podcast. You guys, this is your host. To live your best life, you must live label free. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, follow, share, all those great things. And I'll be back very soon with more dynamic guests.